It's official. ProShares will be the first out with a Bitcoin futures ETF. It will begin trading Tuesday under the symbol BITO and is based on Bitcoin futures contracts that trade on the CME. Here first on CNBC, the man launching that ETF, Simeon Hyman, is global investment strategist at ProShares. Simeon, this is a big day tomorrow for the crypto community and the ETF community. There's been some unhappiness that the first Bitcoin ETF is tied to a futures contract and not a spot Bitcoin contract. The concern out there has been that a futures ETF might deviate significantly from spot Bitcoin. Tell us about what your research has revealed about that. That seems to be a bit of a gripe from the crypto community.
Sure. Thanks very much for having me. We'll turn this narrative a little bit on its head. First, many of the experts believe that the futures market is actually, if anything, a better place for price discovery than spot Bitcoin. And people think spot Bitcoin is a simple place. There are a lot of different exchanges. The prices can vary. And there's a ton of liquidity in those futures. For example, the CME futures market trades at about 40% more volume than the largest U.S. spot market exchange. So there's a lot of information in futures, but of course, importantly, there's regulation there too. And simply the combination of the regulated futures market along with the simple ease and structure of an ETF, we think will provide an opportunity for many people who've been waiting for such an opportunity to get invested and exposed to Bitcoin.
Yeah, this seems to be what happens in commodity exchanges in general. It's the futures market that ultimately is the one that sets the price, not the spot market. This is true in most commodities, right? And I know Matt Hogan, who I've known for many years at Bitwise, released a report last week indicating that they felt that was the situation now with Bitcoin, that the Bitcoin futures market actually led things. So one of the concerns here has been manipulation, that even Bitcoin futures might be subject to concerns about manipulation down the road. So I wonder, is there some evidence that the futures market set the prices now, not the spot market? That's, I guess, my question.
Yeah, and I think it's that the regulated aspect is a part of it. It's very difficult, if almost impossible, to try to manipulate the futures market. The combination of the CME and the CFTC is really a valuable piece of that ecosystem, and the clearinghouse mechanism makes sure that really nothing kind of funny happens in the futures market. For reference, as an example, our mutual fund that we launched, very similar strategy back on July 28th. So far through Friday, the spot market, BRR, is the Bitcoin reference rate. So that amalgamates a few of these exchanges. So it's as good as it gets, if you will. That's up 51%. Our mutual fund based on futures is up 52, and you've got the GBTC Grayscale up just 37. So, again, other forms of exposure may not be as effective in terms of giving you a real indication of value or performing in line with what folks might expect and require from their Bitcoin investment.
Right. So I'm trying to figure out what's the right way to view this, other than people griping that it's not a pure Bitcoin ETF. It seems to me like this is a necessary baby step. Is this the way to look at it, a first step toward a full Bitcoin ETF?
I'm not even sure if we look at it as a baby step, because there are advantages to the futures market in and of itself, such that, even in a world where, it sounds like a movie trailer, but if there was the opportunity to do this in spot form, there are still key advantages to the futures market itself that make this a worthy investment vehicle almost regardless of timing. That said, we're still super excited to be first and bring this opportunity, because there really hasn't been anything like it to date to offer investors an opportunity to get exposure to Bitcoin in their regular brokerage account and just like trading it just like any other stock.
So what's next? There's obviously a raft of Bitcoin futures ETFs that are going to likely launch within days after yours. Some of your competitors have some that are out there as well. I think we're going to see that in the next couple of weeks, but including Invesco, VanEck, Valkyrie, Galaxy, all these people, Simeon. What can we expect next? I know viewers are going to write in asking me to ask you to handicap the possibility of a Bitcoin ETF in the future. So there's the question. Go ahead and address it.
Yeah, I'm obviously not in a position to handicap what the regulatory environment will bring, but assuredly, innovation is core to who we are at ProShares. It's the key driver that brought us first with our future solution tomorrow morning to be traded. But look, we're watching it. We're watching the maturation and the evolution of the spot market and the ecosystem. We think these ETFs will, add to the robustness of that space, and we're also watching the evolution of the regulatory environment. And if the opportunity arises, we'll certainly be exploring, other opportunities to bring important and differentiated solutions to investors.